Welcome to Boss Up Magazine. My name is Tony Dozier. I'm the CEO of the platform. And today I am here with Yolanda Spearman. She's going to tell us all about her voiceover career, being a coach and an author. So, Yolanda, please tell us more. How did you get into voice acting? Well, voiceover acting.
That is such a cool question because I actually work in corporate America. So I've been working in corporate America for a long time. I won't tell you how long because that will date me, but I will say I've been here over 20 years, right? And working in corporate America, we get on that hamster wheel where it gets kind of boring, right? And we do the same things. I teach people how to sell. I teach people how to do the consultations and how to actually grow their business. So it's pretty regimented. I wanted something exciting. I wanted to do something new, something interesting. And I met this lady. Her name is Mildred Gaddis. She is kind of like the Oprah in Detroit. She is like the bomb when it comes to radio in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
And she said to me, she met me at a hotel when I was back in the day working at a hotel a long time ago. She said, Yolanda, you should look up voiceover. And I didn't really listen to that. I kind of put it in the back of my mind a little bit, but then I took a class and then I kind of did a reel. I put it out there. This is back in the day when you actually created a CD. And
Wow.
then you went around and you passed it out and then you had to go to the studio to do audition. I did that. Kind of didn't like it. It was kind of meh, so I wasn't feeling it then. Then I got into that hamster wheel, really into it, growing, ascending through corporate America, Ford Motor Company, Harley Davidson, just working. Had kids, had a family, figured out it wasn't all that in a bag of chips. I wasn't feeling fulfilled and happy. And I'm a creative being, a creative soul, right? I like to do fun stuff. I wasn't doing it. So I was like, okay, what can I do? So I started doing a whole bunch of stuff, playing the guitar, piano. I bought a whole bunch of stuff, my poor husband. And then I went back. My husband was like, what you really should be doing is that voiceover thing. And I was just like, okay, why not? I'll try it again. So I tried it again. Got a job. That felt kind of good to get a job. And I was reading some really creative. They had me doing voices. They had me being a grandmother and helping people figure out whether or not they wanted to live in a senior citizen's place. And I played the old lady. And I was like, I get to play an old lady. This is great. Then I got a chance to read, and I'm an avid reader. So I got a chance to read all this stuff. And then they were all asking me to bring life to it. They kept saying to me, Yolanda, can you just bring some energy and some life and make this real to our listeners so that they really can understand our product and how it can serve them. And I got a chance to do what I'm teaching people to do in my corporate job, but I got a chance to be kind of the animated part of it.
Okay.
And since I did that and I really enjoyed it and I was able to bring authenticity to it, it is just taking off. My husband is like, nah, man, I made you do it because I'm hot in the summer and cold in the winter because you're always making me turn off stuff. So that's how I ended up getting into it. And I love it. I have a voiceover manager. I have a coach. I have the whole gamut. I have several agents. I am one of the voices on Wayfair. So if you ever hear an ad that says, and there's no place like it, that is me saying that.
All right. Yes, that is amazing. And that's really interesting that you're doing the corporate America. And it's really interesting when someone tells you that you have a gift and you don't think twice about it. You don't think about it. And then later it comes back full circle like, you know what, let me tap into my gift. So that's amazing. Congrats to you. Wayfair. That's huge. That is huge. So that leads me to my next question for you. So with your career, what was like your big break in voice-over acting?
So my first big break into voiceover acting was probably I got a call, what happened is I got random calls, which is why I ended up pursuing it. I would get random calls. People would say, I found your reel. And I was like, I thought I took everything down years ago. So I had somebody call me from Ontario, Canada. And they were like, we love your voice and our client only wants you. And I was just like, oh, shoot, I don't even have gear. So I was like, I went to the place where I was taking piano lessons. This is true. I went to the place where I was taking piano lessons and I was like, look, you got a little recording little thing over in that corner. I'm a voiceover artist. Can I record something over there? And they were like, ah! So I had to get the client on the phone and go in there because I didn't have a mic. I didn't have a DAW. I didn't have anything. And so I went in there. I recorded the commercial. They were like, oh, we love you. And so my husband was like, and then I made like, I don't know, $400 or $500. And it was an hour. And my husband was like, that's a pretty good living for an hour. Could you do that again? Can you do that like a couple more times? So that is how I started. And I was like, oh, I had so much fun. You kind of get to be a secret celebrity. And I love that.
I believe it. Like I said, that Wayfair, that's awesome. And you know, you do have that energy and animation. So I think that's perfect for you. That definitely fits you. And like I said, it's amazing how, you know, that talent pointed out to you is full circle, comes back full circle. So that's great. And I don't blame your husband. $500 an hour, yeah, do that a couple of more times. You know, what about all the time? Do that all the time, because that's a good gig right there. That's great. So tell me, with the voiceover acting, you mentioned you had to do a reel and other things. So tell me more details about what exactly you needed to kind of get, I guess, get everything going in regards to the career itself.
So in order to really get up and going, I would tell everyone to take a class, get involved in their community, especially in their local community. And here's why. When you get involved with your local community, you're going to get a couple things, and a couple things are really crucial. Number one, you're going to find out about local studios. You need that information. Number two, you're going to find people who want to produce your reel and who want to actually help you create a demo. Creating demos is this whole industry. It's an industry, okay, on steroids. And people are out there who actually help you write content, tailor it to you. And then there's this world of scripting where scripts aren't always usable. So I may have had a million scripts, but you have to get permission from the company to use their script. And often they'll have you sign a non-disclosure agreement, and there's a whole bunch of other paperwork that goes along with it. So when you work with a company or someone who helps you, and then they say, okay, these are scripts that we know we can legally use, or we'll edit this, or we'll change this or that, and they'll put it together. But what they'll do is they'll put together something that shows the dynamics of your voice. So yes, I'm talking like this now, but then I talk like this, and then I go like this, and then sometimes I'm like, girl, for real, and then I'm like, son, I need you too, you know. They're gonna get all that in less than 60 seconds.
Wow.
And so it's amazing because they are able to help you pull all that out and get all that in less than 60 seconds. So you need that reel. Then after you have, and that's the reason you have to have reel, is because people are shopping your voice. So like buying a pair of shoes, they want to try it on. And some people will say, I had a person last week call me for the American Cancer Society, and she said, Yolanda, we need that warmth like you did with the cookie commercial on your demo when you were baking cookies with your daughter. And I was like, oh, okay, I got you. Baking cookies. Okay, so they wanted that sound. I had somebody come and have a pamper one where the baby blows the pamper out, and I was like, and he just biggie sized it, and you like, where am I? I'm so glad I got Pampers. You know, so I got one like that. I had a guy call and he said, I want the sass of he just biggie sized it. And he wrote that in the actual job. Hey, can you biggie size it? So he wanted that. So people get to know you by your demo. So you want it to be authentic, you want it to be real, you want it to be exactly who you are and replicatable. Don't do some voice way up here and you can't do that voice over and over and over again. So I'm on a board game, and in the board game, they asked me to be I had to be kind of like a dwarf in The Hobbit.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like, so I had to come in and I had to talk like this, and I had to make my voice kind of rustic and kind of like, you know, but I had to do that for an extended amount of time. So you want to make sure that whatever you do, don't come up with some quirky sound. You can only do it one time or for 5 minutes, because they might just call you up and say, we like that. Because I was shocked when that company called me and chose me. I was like, oh, shoot, I got to be ready. Okay, now let me go do this. So you need a reel. You need a place to actually post your stuff too. But I'm sorry, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I get excited.
You okay. Give us all the details. That's what this is about. Give us all the details. You are very talented. And my next question is, did you find it difficult to change your voice for different projects?
So I do voices. You know, we all have things that we do at home. So I'm sure you probably have something you do if you have children, you know, family. You probably have some voice you do, right? So I imitate my grandma all the time, because my grandma called me Yandy. She'd be like, Yandy, you know, Yandy, get on in here and do. So I do that voice.
Mm-hmm.
So I will do that voice. And so I'll do it extreme and big. I often do things big because if I do it big, they can always bring you in, but they can't make you bigger, or they will never know that you can do big unless you do big. So whenever I do auditions, I always do two. I do one that's girl, hey, and I do one that's hello, how are you? And today is, I always give them that. But being able to know your comfort zone so that you don't harm your instrument. You have to be very conscientious. My daughter and I did something with Netflix. It's called Legacies and Recipes. It's out there on Netflix, YouTube. Netflix has a YouTube channel, and we did a few episodes together. And
Wow.
I play two voices. I play the mother, the grandmother. My daughter plays the little girl who is really excited about she's excited about soul food and she's like, I'm learning so much about soul food, and she does all this stuff. But I had to do both voices. So I did the mother and the grandmother.
Interesting, interesting. And for someone who is interested in getting into that career, would you advise that they start off with a coach? Would you advise that they practice? What would be your
What I
advice?
would advise for people who are looking to get into it is I already talked about getting that demo reel. The second thing that I would suggest is in your community is what I was telling you about is getting into a voiceover class in your local community if you can. Definitely take online courses. I offer some free tips and things like that just to help people go in the correct direction and help you discover more about voiceover. I offer some information on that as well. But to actually get that in-depth training, which I am going to solidly suggest that people get training, because yes, you can read it, yes, you can have a knack for it, but there are a lot of nuances. I have a coach. I have a wonderful coach, and I would recommend him. And I've worked with several, but I have one that I work with consistently all the time. I have a voiceover manager who helps me, who actually goes through and looks at all of my contracts. So that's kind of down the line. But when you're first starting, you need a reel. You got to record yourself. You got to get some equipment. Y'all, you can't go. Oh, and here's the thing. I know I'm not supposed to say certain brands, but they're going to give you some ideas of some brands. When you go out and you talk to people, they're going to recommend some mics. I am going to tell you right now, get a decent microphone. Go in planning to pay $150. You need a microphone that is separate. You need something called, so you're going to need an interface. I can't hold it up because I'm connected to it, but you can see it a little bit. It's an interface, and that interface actually interfaces with your computer and this microphone. You need an external microphone, not the one inside your computer. So they're going to tell you basic things. They're going to tell you, hey, you need this. I always suggest the Rode NT1A as an Apple. And the reason I recommend that is because it has a little brighter sound. And it's a little bit better. But I have several microphones. My very first one is an AT. I have it right here. I'll show it to you guys. So you'll keep these. You will keep these. So you can see here, this is my first mic, my baby, and it's an AT2035. It's my first microphone where I got all my first jobs. It was $100 on Amazon. You can get it. I did a ton of jobs. And y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. People gonna be mad because I said this. I use GarageBand. People did not know I was using GarageBand that came on my Mac computer. I used it. I did a whole bunch of commercials on GarageBand. People just don't be knowing. For real, though. I even did something for McDonald's on GarageBand. So I'm telling you, people will never know. And yes, it can be professional. You want to understand how to use GarageBand. I even have a coach for that. I promise you, when you get into this world, which is why I offer people tips, because when you get into this world, it is as technical as being in any other field. There are so many nuances. So, long and short, I get off on tangents because I love this stuff. So it's so hard for me to just go, this is what you got to do. So locally, take a class. You're going to want to know where the local studios are because sometimes people will ask you that. And if you want to do a demo reel, sometimes they'll offer that service for you. You're going to want a coach. You're going to want somebody who can help bring out the best in your voice and who can actually teach you and help you. And I offer people the beginning step. I offer people just that opportunity to show you and guide you into the industry. But the industry has like 10 fingers and 10 toes. So I will tell you all the things that I've tested, all the things that I've tried, and give you some push and some guidance. So I will guide you to help you get in there. And I'm going to be your coach behind you saying, go, go, go. You can do it, Hercules. I'm going to say that for you, for real. I'm going to be that girl. And then, but once you do those things and you get out there, you get you some equipment, you get it in, you get a demo, even if you don't have the music and it's not all fancy. If you go to my voice123.com, if you go to voice123, look up my name, Yolanda Spearman. If you look it up, you'll see I have some dry, what we call dry reads, reads with no music in the background. A lot of people like to hear that because they get to hear the real deal. They get to hear what's in your studio, how you sound. So in other words, if you want to do it, you could do it and you can start today.
Or your coaching, tell us more about what exactly you offer as
So
a
really
coach.
what I offer is to help people get started, because a lot of people just don't know. Really, they don't know where to go. They don't know where to begin. And like I said, there's a lot of tentacles to voiceover. And with that being said, that means that when I say that there's a lot of tentacles, let me explain what that means. That means I already said demos. I already talked about coachings full time, where they actually teach you how to interpret scripts and how they teach you how to find your sound. So you will have a signature sound. You will have something that fits you. My coach helps me, and my sound is Black. So I mean, my whole brand is around being a Black girl, and it's Black girl magical. But that is my sound. And sometimes, believe it or not, we are not our authentic selves. His name is David Walsh. He's awesome sauce, and he helps me. He's in California. My voiceover manager, Celia Siegel, helped me to get him. So once you start getting all these connections, but a lot of people they're not going to have a clue. I didn't have a clue as to where to go. That's where I come in. I just help get you started. I help you get going. And I'm going to say, hey, I've used them. Hey, I've tried this. Hey, I've used that. Hey, don't use, because there are going to be sites and places where people will say, come in here, give me $5.99 and I'll go ahead and do your stuff. And they are the worst. I wasted a lot of money learning like that. So I'm going to help you not have that happen to you. So I give out some free tips. I am also, you'll see me on Voice 123. I'm in their voiceover guide helping people. So I actually do some snippets in their guide for people who are getting started. So that's really what I do specifically around VO and around voiceover. Specifically, I help people discover, understand where they might fit in this industry. And for everybody, they're not going to love it. I mean, my daughter did it. My son hates it. He doesn't like being on the microphone. I'm in a small space. You see, my space is not big. I spend hours down here and I love it. But some people will be like, oh my gosh, I did this. I talked to you. And after I went through this, that's for the birds. And that's okay. And it works really great with your site, with your regular job, because you can plan your time. So everybody comes in and says, okay, well, and I do a lot of jobs with people in California. So they'll say, so Yolanda, what's your time blocks? And I'll say, well, I happen to have some time open between 4 and 6 today, which is after I'm done with my day job. They don't care. They're like, yay, that works great for us. Can you give us a couple days? And I'll say, sure, I can do it on Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday. I mean, it doesn't matter. So that's what I like about it. And 400 or 500, you can get jobs. I've had jobs that have paid thousands of dollars for 1 hour of work with an S.
Wow. So, that's great.
And I was just like, ooh. So that's what I do. I help people get in there. Oh, and I also, when I coach people, I also help people who are just presenting, speaking. Some people will say, hey, I don't necessarily really want to go down the VO route, but I would like to learn how to be more conversational when I speak. I would like to learn how to have the proper animation, the proper tenor, the proper cadence. How do I engage? I help people engage and tell their story and really get in front of, because I speak in front of thousands of people, groups of people all the time. And there's a lot of schools of thought. People will tell you, don't use your hands. Some people will say, sit on your hands. But if I sit on my hands, my voiceover coach made me sit on my hands. He was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if you can do it. So I teach people to be who they are, but also to understand their message, to understand their audience, and then to understand how their story connects, because everybody loves hearing a story. Nobody wants to hear a lecture. Nobody likes that. And they want you to come up and they want you to share something. They want to eat off your table. And they want to say, oh, that just made me feel so satisfied on the inside. So I always say this. I say, hey, I'm the dream advocate because I help people fulfill their dreams. I help you just on your joy journey. Because for me, this brings me joy. As you can see, I'm always happy when I'm talking about it because it brings me joy. I love doing it.
Absolutely.
And you know, one of the parts that people don't talk about a lot when they're starting to do voiceover is a lot of them, you are on camera just like this.
Really?
Quite,
Wow.
quite a few.
And I would
So
have never thought that. I never would have thought that it would be like that. I thought it would be more so just your voice. Like no one would see you, they just hear you.
they don't see you, but the client does.
The client does.
The
Okay.
client sees you all the time. So I do what they call directed sessions. And when they do a directed session, I remember my daughter, she did her first one. She did her first directed session with the Netflix people. And there were two people in the room, the person who wrote the script and then another gentleman. And she was just like this
Wow.
because they're watching you as you're reading. So
Okay.
it can be very, very intimidating. I always cover up my screen so that I could just I don't show myself. I mean, I do show myself, but I don't look at them in the camera so that I can just be myself when I'm reading. Because I read with my hand, just like I talk, I read like this. So I'll be like, and I always believe that every script has a rhythm to it. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to find the rhythm. So usually I'm trying to find that rhythm. And it's look, I look like I'm conducting an orchestra, but I was like an orchestra of one me, you know? So I'm like, and they have been in here like, and then sometimes I like in between because my voice will get dry or it'll start sounding like a little rat. I'll hum, and then if you hum and you will hum the beat of the words because they all have a for real distinct. Most of the scripts have a rhythm. It's very distinct. It's very clear. Like it'll be like, and when you gonna and da 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 da, and then you'll have this little part in the middle, the little bridge. They'll have the little bridge and the hook. It's like a whole little song, and then at the very end, it's always the and Boss Up magazine. It's always we all want you to go and come to Boss Up magazine. It all has that energy to it. So yeah. And the directed sessions, they want to hear it, they want to feel it, and they always say they want goosebumps.
Wow. I can believe that. I really can. Now that you break it down for me, I can definitely believe that. And it gives me a different perspective on voiceover acting and everything that, goes into that. I definitely can believe that. Now that I have it broken down and I have an understanding of it, I can believe it. I can believe it. I sure can. I sure can believe that.
Just like you have a demo reel, you need to
Hmm.
also have a reel with you doing things like this as well. And people will, like I do a lot of things where I'm reading and they'll see me online. You'll see me on Instagram. I'm easy to find on Instagram. Everywhere, on every piece of social media, it's my name, Yolanda Spearman. Spearman. A spear and a man. It's Yolanda Spearman. And so if you just look me up, you can see it and you can always see my vlogs. You can always see, because people are looking for you everywhere. I just got a job from a YouTuber. And the YouTuber said, hey, I found you on Instagram. And I heard one of your vlogs when you were in there talking about being in the industry and working on a project. So people can find you anywhere. And remember, your product is your voice. So you want them to be able to hear you as much as possible.
You are really giving us the tea here. You're really giving it to us. That's great. I love that because I'm telling you, I get that all the time. People learn so much from these interviews, and I love that. So thank you for giving me the tea about it. I'm excited. I'm excited for those who are watching and interested in going into that career. I'm definitely excited about that. So back to the coaching, really quickly. So tell us, is there a certain time frame that you offer, or is it like an ongoing coaching that you offer?
So it's ongoing, but usually I offer just 3 sessions because normally that's what it's going to take you. The first session, what will happen is you come in, we talk, we do a little assessment to see if you like it. I have you read and I'll actually share with you some of the scripts that I have. And we always do it in person because if we do it in person, then I can show you real stuff. If I do it, online, then I have to show you things, of course, that are canned, et cetera, et cetera. So we do real, I actually show you real scripts, real things, and then you get to read them. And when people read a real script, they see how it's written, it becomes a whole different playing field. Then they start saying, "Ooh, I love it," or "Ooh, I don't want to do that." So it is a whole different, like in my family, I'm one of four. I'm the oldest of four. My brother, I love his voice. And I was like, "Oh, Daniel, read this." So sometimes they'll give you a job and they'll say, "Hey, if you know a guy, can he read it too?" So I was like, "Hey, bro, come over, read this." And he was just like, "Uh-uh. They want me to read it with this energy and that." And now they're going to make sure you understand the English language because they will say things like, "We want you to be persnickety. We want you to come across, not like you have an attitude, but like you're demure." They will say, I mean, now you're going to sometimes have to look some words up just to make sure you can do the proper read because they're going to ask you for these things and you want to see or know if you can do it. And if that's the way we start by saying, "Hey, here's what it is. Here's what it does and can do for you." I mean, there's a top for every pot. There's a voice for every spot. I say that all the time. I mean, that is like my thing. I always say there is a voice for every spot. I know a girl, she talks like this, and she is like so successful. She has a bazillion jobs. I mean, I have taken some classes with her because she is amazing. Seriously, there's a place for you if this is the thing for you. So that's the first thing. Then the second one, we'll talk about your equipment because it's a whole package of equipment and stuff that you need to do. I'll show you out to show you where to go in Amazon. There's Amazon Guitar Center. There's a low-key key that you'll need in order to download certain software to your computer. And you'll be like, "What the heck is this low-key key? I don't know what this means." Yeah. So I'll help you get to those basics. Those now, mind you, I'm telling you, this is just the basics. For real. I take people to the end of the water where you putting your feet just on it's the pool is real deep and it has 8 feet down here on this end. I take you to the 3 feet and I just put your toes in. And it's that much because you can do
Wow.
research and research and research. And there are so many people, things, shysters, people who will come to you and tell you, would you take $10? And no, thank you, I will not. And there are standards. And where do you go? How do you know where do I go to find the standards? Who's going to tell you? Nobody. So, I just help you get past all that.
Okay. All right. And for you to be someone's coach, what are the minimum requirements that you look for?
I don't have any minimum requirements because if you are interested and you want to learn more, call me up. Email, inbox me, say, "Hey, I don't even know for sure if I want to go any further. I don't know if I really want to get into it," because once they get into it, they're going to say, "Hey, it cost me some money to actually work with you." But if you just want some basic tips and you're a do-it-yourselfer, which that's fine by me, I'll say, "Here you go. I have a packet and I got a place. I have a place. I'll tell you, go here, look this up. Here's some tips from me, and God bless you." But if you want someone who's going to sit with you, work with you, talk to you, you could call me up and you could say, or you can email me and say, "Oh my goodness, this is this right? Is this supposed to happen?" I mean, I still do that, which is why I say this industry is something like practicing medicine. And I won't say it's that intricate, but you are going to always learn. And if you're not learning something new, then you're not working, you're not trying, you're not getting yourself out there. And rejection is a really big thing. So I have to say this about rejection because my son, he's 8 and my daughter's 10. They do auditions. They do auditions for great jobs and they don't get them. And their feelings get hurt. and they say, I worked really hard and I really read that well and I thought I sounded great. And maybe you did. You There's a top for every pot. There's only one top for that pot. And the hard part is your voice might not have been for that spot. There's a top for every pot and there's a voice for every spot, but it's only one. And sometimes it can be, I go, most of the time, I want you to love my voice. So if you pick me, I want it to be that they are in love. They'll be like, we listened to, I did some jobs for Salesforce. Salesforce is a big CRM company or customer relationship management company. They do a lot of jobs for basically most of the Fortune 500 companies out there. And I do a lot of their internal spots. Well, I did a big one for one department of Salesforce. The other department asked me to come in and read for them, and they said, she's not the voice. But that wasn't an insult to me. I was like, okay. So that's the thing. You have to really be able to deal with rejection. You audition and you forget it. Go to the next one.
And would you say there's like a ratio for every so many rejected jobs, you get so many approved jobs? Would you say that?
Yes, you will start to have numbers. So when I first started out, I was doing 10. My goal was to do 10 auditions a day. So you got to go places to get those auditions, right? Because it's not easy to get agents either. So that's another thing. I would talk about that when I'm coaching people because it's not easy to get agents. I'm still courting, and my voiceover manager is courting. So there's levels. Like you'll get an agent who might be your local agent, but you may not be able to get a national agent or a regional agent, meaning that you want the jobs that pay. I mean, everybody wants to be like Flo, right? On Progressive. You want to be like, oh, or you want to be that, what was the Allstate man? You want to be the Allstate guy, right? Those agents don't work with everybody. They're like, okay, you beginning, you cutting your teeth, that's cool beans, not for me. And they will have requirements. They'll say, if you're not booking $100,000, we don't want to talk to you. And I'll be like, I'm only booking 5,000. I'm happy. Okay, that's great and not for me. No, thank you. So you will start, and then as you get to certain levels, it'll be some that'll say, okay, good. She's booking 50. I'll take her. But somebody else will say, no, thank you. And then some will only take you if you're referred. That is the key. You got to know who can refer you. I help with that. So, those are the things that I help with. So I help you with the beginning because I don't have the key for everything yet. I'm working on it though. So, and I can help you in your journey as you work on it. My whole thing is to help you find joy, find your way. But yes, those are the things. And usually I always say 3 sessions should help you get up and started. You should be started. The hardest part for people, and they get really nervous, is actually when they do a real live audition. Pushing that send button. Is it good enough? Did it sound great? Oh my goodness. As long as you have decent equipment, you have good software, and they have free software. You can use Audacity. I've never used the free software. I've always used Pro Tools or Adobe Audition. I love Adobe Audition. I liked Pro Tools too, but it didn't work great with my computer. So since it didn't, I stopped using it. I wanted something that was kind of the easy button. I'm that girl with the big fat easy button. I want to go and it's done. I do that. So for me, I started with GarageBand. So I want everybody to know I started with the free stuff. And then I started getting paid. And I was like, okay, well, now I can pay for this. Well, now I can pay for that. Now I can pay for this. And now I can pay for that. And I let voiceover pay for all my stuff.
Nice, nice. And I have one last question about the coaching for our viewers. Now, you mentioned that there are different agents and there's levels to it. So, would you recommend that someone start off as a do-it-yourself to kind of get a feel of, their place, their voice, then get a coach, and then look for an agent, or what would you recommend?
So the order that I would recommend is, number one, look for a local class. That local class is really key, and it's because you're going to find people who are sound engineers. Sound engineers help people who are rookies, who you don't know what and how in the world to make this sound fantastic, and you get a job. Somebody loves you. McDonald's says or Coca-Cola calls you up and says, oh, we found a diamond in the rough, because they're always looking for something new and fresh. They find you. Now They want it to sound pristine and they want you to produce it. Just send it to us and they're going to say, send it clean. You're going to be like, what is clean? I don't know what that means. If you took a local class, you're going to have a connection. When you have that connection, and of course, if you take my coaching, I'll give you some other people that can help you too, who that's all they do is help you with things like that. But when they give you that connection in your class, you're going to have a local person who you can run in their studio. You could get them $100 because everything costs $100. So you can't come into voiceover thinking that it's going to be cheap. Everything costs $100, $200, $300 and up. That's how it is. But you're going to go in there. They're going to give you an hour. They're going to say, okay, here it is. I fixed it up. This is what it was. So that class is crucial. Then after you take your local class, you're going to look online. There's tons of conferences. I go to all of them. I've been to them all. I've been to them several times. You're going to want a coach, but you're going to want a coach beyond me. So I'm going to help you get into it, but I'm going to tell you, hey, these are the kind of coaches that are out there. There are some I had a beginner coach. His name was Dan. He is so amazing. He helps you step by step. He's very methodical. He's very slow. He teaches you there is a diagram for voiceover. He teaches you the diagram for voiceover. It's like going to school every day. I think his program is 6 months. I mean, he will take you through. So when you come out, you're going to book because he's just going to teach you exactly what you need to know. That's that. I go with Dave Walsh. Dave Walsh has taught me how to be me. He tell me all the time, sit back in the seat, Yolanda. You on the edge of your seat all the time. This one requires you to calm down. He is more of an advanced coach, but he will take new people too. And I will give you their information. I've asked them for permission. They are like, yes, Yolanda, you can give information to this. Some have closed books and they're like, no. So, and then some people will have you do some stuff before you can get to coach with them. So it's just a whole thing. But first, class. Second, once you do you're going to look up that local class. You can look at me, get you some tips. You need a person like me to just tell you, okay, what's it all about? You need that person. And I'm that person. Hey. And I'm going to tell you what it's all about. I'll tell you how to get in. I'll tell you where to go. Then she said, do it yourselfer. There is a do-it-yourselfer road. And I actually make a ton of money off of that. And it's called P2P. We call it pay to play. And they have free options. So I mentioned voice123.com. I'm going to mention it again. Voice123.com has a free option. Now, you can actually get jobs through that free option. And I did. That person I told you in the story about the guy in Ontario who called me, he got me off of my free profile on Voice123. That's how I got that job. And then there's voices.com. Those are the two biggies that get you really great work. Voices.com sometimes takes a little bit more of a commission, but hey, it's a great way to get in and to actually get into the business. Those are the two big ones. There are a lot more. I'll talk about those if we work together, but there are a lot more out there, tons, some that are not good. Now, here's the other thing. Fiverr, all those other places, Craigslist, they look for voiceover artists too. There's a whole school of thought and there's a whole group of people that help people learn if you want to go that route. I am not $5. I don't like to actually market my services because, like I said earlier, I work a day job. So if I'm going to sit down and I'm going to pick up this microphone, it needs to be worth my while and the while of my family to miss out on having me there. And I feel like that costs at least $350 to $400 an hour. That's how I feel.
Nothing
you may
wrong with
start
that.
lower and you may start lower. You're going to get a whole bunch of jobs that are $250, some that are $150. Cut your teeth on $150s. That's great. Get in there, read and go, oops, that didn't come out like I wanted it to. Oh, it was $150. You're going to learn. They're going to be happy. They're never going to know. You're going to be like, oh, I didn't like the way that sounded. And you're going to do it. So that's my advice for people. And I do give, so people yell at me all the time because I give away so many pearls and diamonds and stuff because it's somebody did for me and I had to go and search and pull teeth. And it is so hard to find another person. And I book. So she asked about a ratio. I do have a ratio. And I will tell you this, in the voiceover world, You can tell people your ratio, and some people will be very intimidated by your ratio, because I book often. I book often if I audition, but I am a picky auditioner. I do not audition for everything that comes across my desk. Recently I did an audition for something called, it was something on genomics, on the human genes. And the guy kept asking me and kept asking me, and I was just like, I don't connect. It is not fun. Fun is a really big thing for me because I do this as an outlet. Remember I told you about that hamster wheel? The hamster wheel is real for me. If I feel like I'm on that hamster wheel again, this is how your hustle can earn you profits, and how your side hustle can earn you great profits, but how your passion how you can get profits from your passion. That's what I meant to say. How you can get profits from your passion. This is how you get profits from your passion. But if it's not, and I'm not a long form person, what that means is this: don't give me 100,000 word book with 500 pages. Stephen King. Stephen King's book be about this big. They be about this big, this thick, y'all. This thick for real. They be real thick. And they got about 800 different voices. I don't want to do that. And I don't like that. But some people love it and they can keep up with it. And I marvel. I listen to Audible books all the time. But you got to understand you. I like to get in, get out in 2 minutes or less. All my jobs are 2 minutes or less for the most part. That's me. That's what I like.
Nothing wrong with that. So I want to move on. You've definitely given us all of the gems, but I want to move on to your book.
Yay, my book. Can y'all see it? It's Relentless Execution. I know it might look a little backwards on the screen, but it's Relentless Execution.
We can see it. Tell us all about it.
Well, I wrote this book because of my hamster wheel. I wrote this book because I, for real, was that person on that hamster wheel. And remember at the beginning of the story, I said that my darling husband, who is in my book, he is on chapter 1. He told me, Yolanda, this is him. He said this: do what makes you happy. So he said, Yolanda, do what makes you happy. And my husband is a heavy repair mechanic. He loves his job. He can do it. He tells me all the time, the reason I love it is because I don't have to think while I do it, and I do it well, and it allows me to be creative. And I'm like, for what? Like right now, y'all probably can't hear it, but his race car is in the garage right now shaking the whole house. It's going, because he drives a drag car, but he builds it himself. He does the engine, the transmission. He's doing something under there. He had transmission fluid all over his hands. It was all red. Looked like he was dipped in blood because transmission fluid is red. I was like, what the heck is going on? He was in there. That's what he does in his off time. He taught me by watching him, because I serve him dinner in the garage when it's 20 degrees outside and he laying on the concrete floor. I'm like, could we get some heat? Can we have a heater? You're going to be then passed out here. But he does what makes him happy. So let's fast forward to me, voiceover. Guess what, y'all? I have been down here so much that the sun has come up and gone down, and I have not even known. My husband has hollered down the steps, I don't want to disturb you. We going to bed. And I was like, I missed the day. How I missed the day? And he'll be like, you've been on that microphone for about 7 hours. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's midnight. Because remember, I come in here after my day job. So I'm down here 4 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, here we go. We on and popping. And I didn't even know. I was like, I didn't even read a book. I didn't cook dinner. What y'all eat? We had a hot and ready pizza. I was like, I'm so sorry. I forsake my mama duties. It's because I found something that I'm passionate about. My book is about finding that thing, and not just finding it, but executing on it relentlessly. Because when you do, that is your joy journey. You're going to be happier. You're going to be more fulfilled. You're going to have your purpose. You're going to say, hey, I got a crew that's around me. We all on our joy journey together. And guess what? There is profit in your passion, should you choose to go that route. My husband, he like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to try, even though he makes stuff all the time. I'm always like, you are an entrepreneur in a package. Can I just like take one of your products and put it on the market? He's like, no. But for me, I love this. And I'm able to make money. Somebody asked me to read 3 books off Amazon. They sent me the books. and said, can you read them? She said, and I didn't even, because I like it so much, what you'll find is this: when you love something, you don't think about charging. I had to get a voiceover manager because I kept forgetting to bill people. I know that sounds bananas, but I just like doing the work. I mean, I did something for a vitamin. I was like, oh, we got omega-3. We got omega-3s. I was into it. And I just totally, and my husband was like, did they pay you? I was like, oh, I forgot I do have to go invoice. Because when you love it, and that's what this is about. It's about figuring out that thing you love. Because once you figure that thing out that you love, your day job ain't so bad. Once you figure out that thing that you love, now you got purpose. Now you got passion. Now you got that smile that people can't erase off your face no matter what they say. And you're going to get some bad clients. I've had some clients, I was like, oh, Jesus, please deliver me from this client. But you know what? I was able to say, guess what? I get to have another one. I get to do another audition for the next one. And I was telling you about that job that I did where I read some books. I read the books and I never told the client how much I was going to charge for reading the books. I had given them all my information. All of a sudden, I get a check for $1,200 in the mail. I just got a random, it was express mail to the house. I had to sign for it. It was $1,200. I read 4 children's books. They were kids' books. And remember, I don't like doing jobs that are long. These were a little bit longer than most. They were like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I got $1,200 for doing what I loved. And they were great stories. They were stories about Wilma Rudolph, Maya Angelou. I mean, they were great stories. And they were kids' books. So my whole point of my book is to help you. I have principles in here about finding your focus. I'm also beginning with the end in mind. So when you out there and you say, okay, I do have something in me. I ain't a voiceover like Yolanda is, but I like to garden. I'm good in the dirt. I can make anything grow. You give it to me, all my fingers are green. I don't just have a green thumb. I got a green hands. Okay, great. So how can we make those hands make you some money or carve out time so that you're always able to play in the dirt? That's what I call that your joy journey. And I really, if I had my druthers, what I would do all day is voiceovers and help people on their joy journey. And you can call me for that too. And I can help you. I do that too. But that's it. I only do 2 things. I do VO and VO speaking, any type of speaking engagements. If you have a speaking engagement that you want to go to, I do have a little method that I teach people to help people when they're getting ready to go. I teach them, if at all possible, I don't teach you to memorize. A lot of people will. And even if you do a TED Talk, they will teach you to memorize because memorization is fantastic, especially if you're really nervous. But I don't teach you that. I teach you to speak from your heart. That's my first S in story. I teach you to speak from your heart. I teach you how to understand your points. And then, so I can go off on a tangent, right? And I can get so excited because I love the information. I also teach you how to talk to the person that you're meeting as if they are a friend and not just a colleague, but as if it's a friend. And what that does is it helps you to relax. And then it helps the audience, gives you energy back and they'll respond to you. And if they're not responding to you, maybe you went off on a tangent and they like squirrel, they like, I don't know what in the world. And you look in the audience and they're looking at you like, if they are, that's okay. You say, y'all looking at me like this. Did I do it? Did you miss my point? Somebody out there shake your head yes or shake your head no. Okay, I see that no over in the right corner. Let me reiterate. This is what I meant. And it's okay to have a dialogue with the people you're talking to because they like that. They're like, oh, she saw me now. Now, it might have been 52 people that said that did like this or did like this. You said that one, but all 52 felt like you were pointing to them. Now, guess what you've just done? You've just re-engaged them, which is my art, you've just re-engaged them back into your story. And now they want to hear from you even more because now they're like, yeah, because they listened to me. They saw me in that audience and they were talking directly to me. Yep, you were. Yes, you were. So really, I help people with that too. And I am off on a tangent. So I'm going to reel myself back in and get back into what else is in the book, because I believe this. It's also an easy read. I call these my after dinner series. I have another one that's getting ready to come out, a part 2 for leaders. But it's an after dinner series, which means this: you can read it after dinner in less than 2 hours. It got pictures in it. No, it's not a kid's book, but yep, it does. I got pictures. I do. I have a whole bunch of bullet points, a whole bunch of ways to quote, things that you can remember and things that you can use today. It's all about being able to utilize these points on your journey right now so that you can actually progress and move from that place of being stuck, that place of freedom where you're smiling, where you're happy, where you are like, where you feel fulfilled, where you live your purpose on purpose and you are fully fulfilled. Come on now, y'all. Somebody in the church say amen. Because when you're
Amen.
because when you're able to do that, you make everyone else happier. Your kids, your husband, your spouse, your partner, anybody that you have out there, you make everybody go, oh, my person, they feel so much better when they fill in the blank. I help you fill in that blank.
And I'm sure you do a good job. Can you show us the book again? Show us the book.
I sure can. Here's the book. And you know what? I'm going to tell you about my title. About my cover. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but it's a book with thoughts coming out of it. And the reason that I chose that picture with the thoughts coming out of it is because we are all full of stories. We all are a book. And we have so many things inside of us that we never do. You know, how many times have we said that we're going to do this or we're going to do that? I mean, I know this is my dad. My dad's in the book. I talked to you all about him. He served in the military. And the funny part about his story is he started off doing as a barber. And he started off cutting hair. And he ties his own story, because I tell these stories, but I tell these stories in their voice. He started off as a barber. He ended up working on a base. He ended up being a counselor. And he ties everything back to his first career love, which was cutting hair. And he says this: he retired as a disabled American veteran counselor. And he said, my first job counseling was in the barber chair. He says, so it's funny how things all connect together. And he talks about his story, about how he never gave up, but he talks about those connections. Then I have a part at the end of the book where people in their day jobs sometimes hate their day jobs and they're afraid to start over at different ages. I talk to you about people who have started over. And I introduced you to my mother-in-law. She is no longer with us, but I introduced you to her because she was going to school when she was 80. And I remember when I said, what other degree do you need? she, she was like, when I was studying nursing, I never studied this thing in mental health. So I'm going back to school. I'm going to help somebody. My point is, in sharing all of that, is that sometimes we feel that we are stuck in a rut and that we can't do any more, that there's no more for us and that it can't be us. That's called imposter syndrome, formally. But there is more. And there's more, and it looks different for different people. And people will try to put you in a box. I just wrote an article. I'm going to publish it on my blog, on my website. It's called Don't Get Caught Up in a Bunch of Should. Because people will tell you what you should and should not do all day long. If you want to be a painter, go paint. Buy you some acrylics and get you a paintbrush and slap some paint on the board. You know what? It might be ugly as heck to somebody, but somebody else out there might be like, oh my goodness. I'm going to tell y'all this. There's a famous artist. He paints rabbits. Okay? Rabbits. I saw my friend bought one of his rabbits. He paid like 10,000, 15,000, something like this crazy number. But he paid it. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what you got. It's a rabbit with a blue background. They got another rabbit with a pink one. Look, I'm telling you, when you find it, but the man is passionate. And people will say this to you all day. It's because of the intricacies. It ain't no intricacies. It's because somebody liked it. Somebody liked my voice. Somebody liked your hairstyle. Somebody liked vanilla versus chocolate ice cream. I mean, that's really how things get created. And I want to release that creative juice And I want to free people and let you know that you are enough, you good enough, you have a purpose, a plan, and you got a right to do what you want to do in life and enjoy yourself as long as it's safe and legal, y'all. So don't take it like I'm telling you to go do crazy stuff. I'm not. But and it's bad I have to do those disclaimers, but I have to do those because somebody asked me that in the training session. Can I just? No, you cannot just. You have to do things that are, of course, righteous. But my cousin just started growing hops so he can make beer. He got a lot of land. He lives out in a rural area. And he was like, Yolanda, I'm going to call it Gray's Hops. So he's making a microbrew. Oh, okay. He was like, Yolanda, a couple places picked it up. They like my flavor. They like my recipe. Well, how do you like that? He's making beer. He loved beer. He started making some beer.
It goes back to what you said earlier when you said there's profit in your passion.
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, there is profit in your passion. And I tell people that often. Some people will tell me, Yolanda, I really don't want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, so let's talk about that for 2 seconds. Even if you don't want to necessarily be an entrepreneur, there are ways that you can still benefit and earn some money. Come on, y'all. Let's talk about the real deal. We all here. We not working. We got to pay bills. We got bills. And your passions can help you do that. Because guess what? I talked about being a gardener. If you're a gardener, you happen to understand the different acidities in soil and the composition of soils. You understand what you can grow in clay versus really fertile soil. Clay soil, for people who don't know, doesn't grow nothing. You can grow grass in clay. That's it. There's a few other plants that grow well in clay, but you have to condition the soil. Guess what? Somebody will pay for that class. Somebody out there wants to know because somebody else out there likes to garden too. And they have been looking for someone to teach them how in the world can I make my flowers bloom? I mean they just don't, and I don't know what to do. Guess what? You can say, I wrote a book on it. I did a video about it. I did a class. Sign up for my class. It is $39.95, located over here. And I teach you the segments of how to get out in your yard and make a pretty flower bed using these flowers. Why not? It can be done. And I can show you how. So just reach out to me, really. If you do, you got to be able to laugh. You got to have an uplifting, happy personality. Not happy like joyful like me, but you got to be open, because I'm going to do this exercise with you on this particular topic, relentless execution. When I coach people, I've done it with a few people that I've coached. I do mind mapping. And what that means is this: I actually create a big map, and we actually talk about the things that you love. Then we talk about your passions. We talk about the things that you love. And I mean love down to the micro love. Like I love roller skating. So you get to put that on that paper. And then you're going to tell me what your goals are. Now, if you told me all of your passions were, I like to go hiking, I like to go boating, I like to go sailing, I like to go roller skating, I like to go. If you gave me all these activities, and then you tell me that your goal is to be a bookkeeper, an accountant, and a controller, and that you want to be behind somebody's four walls looking at some numbers all day, I'm going to tap you on the shoulder. Because what we're going to do is connect the dots, and they will organically connect on their own. So you write it out on one side of the paper, the other side of the paper. These are things I love, and you got to be free and open, because you're going to talk about what you actually, if you like to talk like me, I love to talk. You see, I didn't talk forever. I could do the whole interview by myself. I can even ask myself the questions. Hey, Yolanda, what you think? I can do it. So I like that. But you got to be able to connect those dots. If they don't connect, that's where I'm going to say, this doesn't connect. But then there will be that thing that does connect. Like you'll say, I remember I was coaching one client, and I remember she was like, Yolanda, when you go out, orange is a good color for you. And then she was like, oh, Yolanda, can I just give you some tips on your makeup? You should wear more burgundies. I was like, I like brown. She was like, try a red. Okay. So every time I met with her, every single time, she gave me a tip on how to look better, how to feel better in my own skin. She was like, why don't you try this? And she had a really cool approach about it. And so when we did her mind mapping, one of the things that came out was that in the past, she had a dream of being a personal shopper or a designer. And I was just like, oh, that was such a cool dream. What happened to that? And then we connected some dots. And I was like, how about you become a personal stylist for people? How come you can't kind of combine? And she was like, well, could I make money doing that? Well, you can try it. You do it for me. You got me wearing red. You got me wearing brighter colors. I always wore neutrals and browns. I mean, y'all see my face. It's got some red lipstick. This was years ago that I coached with her. And I'm still doing it because I realized, oh, I do look better. So a lot of times the things that are inside want to come out. I believe firmly in God, and I believe that God puts things and he's given all of us talents. He doesn't want us to be like the man in Matthew 25. He does not want us to bury our talent. He wants us to go out and use our talent for the good of the world. And I tell people this even in my book. I tell people that sometimes people will say, well, what if I don't want to start a business? Okay, that's fine. But guess what? You might like to drink coffee. You go to a coffee shop every day and you talk about your joy of, let's say you like to work on a pottery wheel and you like doing pottery. And on your way to the studio to do pottery, you stop in and you talk to Jane at Starbucks once a week when you go to the pottery wheel. Jane at Starbucks looks forward to seeing you on your trek to the pottery wheel, and you can change Jane's life because you go work on that pottery wheel at the studio once a week. See, people think that God is limited. He is not in a box. And the way that he does things it is so amazing. And it would literally blow our minds if we really understood. So just by uncovering your talent, your talent might have you in the studio all day with me like this, and I'm in four walls. But you don't know what you read that may touch someone's soul so much that they do something different. And you get to choose whether or not you're going to bury that talent or whether or not you're going to go out and use it. And you don't have to have just one. Maybe you can sing and read and write. And I mean, heck, you can do multiple things because God can give you more than one talent. But here's the one thing we don't want. We don't want the graveyard to take your talent. And because all that you have to give and to share, we want you to achieve it because we need you. We really do. I needed Mildred Gaddis to walk past the front desk of the Omni International Hotel when I was working as a front desk clerk at night for my second job when I was teaching during the day. She walked past me. She tapped my hand and said, sweetie, you got a voice for voiceover. You need to look at that. That was over 20 something years ago. I never forgot that moment. But guess where I was standing? At the front desk working in my job. And guess what she was doing? She was doing her passion. She was working in radio then. And she was down there for some radio event that she had going on. And as she walked past me, she just spoke a pearl. She just planted a seed. One man plants, another man waters, but God gives the increase. And look at where I am today. I believe every single person can be that way. And it all takes just a little bit of relentless execution. And I would love to show, help, guide, lead anybody on their joy journey. Back to you.
Let the church say amen. You definitely gave us everything without even me asking. So that is wonderful. I can tell that you're very passionate about your book. And I can tell that whatever, you have written in your book lives through you. You have written it through you, and that's amazing. And that brings me to my next question. How did it feel to see your work in print?
Oh, gosh. I cannot tell you. If I could tell you how it feels on a roller coaster, have you been on a roller coaster before? And you get on that roller coaster, you're going up, and it's the anticipation, and then you get to the top and you open up one eye like this and you kind of look around like, are we there yet? I was doing that all the way through. Are you there yet? Are you there yet? Are you there? And I had like 3 editors. And then I remember I had one of my really close friends from college. She lives in California. She wrote the foreword in the book. Her name is Marlena, and she is a taskmaster when it comes to writing. I mean, she gonna make you have your comma and your semicolon in the right place. I was getting ready to publish, and she said, you changed some stuff. We need to not do this because it's not excellent. Y'all, I was so deflated. I was like, no. So when I finally got to the end, I was like, I don't care if we find another mistake. I'm putting it out. And I got it out there, and I actually see it in print, and I've done an Audible, and I'm right now doing the same thing. We're editing the Audible version of it, because of course I'm a voiceover artist. I gotta put my voice out there, right? So I did do the Audible version of it, and it's getting ready to come out in just a couple weeks. And I was just like, I can't believe my words are in print, and my face is on the back, y'all. Look, that's me. Jeez, my face is on the back. I was just like, even when I took the pictures, y'all done went through 5 sets of pictures. Look, that's one from the first ones when I wrote the first iteration. But I did like several iterations from it. So if you look in here at the back of the book, I look different. People say, how come you look different? Because it took that long to get it out. So if you look, this is me too. Total difference, right? It's because it's such a labor of love, and you want to make sure you have a clear story. You take people in a clear direction, and you give them nuggets that they can actually digest and that they can put into practice today. That's the whole goal. The whole goal is that you put it into practice. I have a game coming out. It's called Start. And that game will be helping you get started. It's all about just getting started. And it's a fun way to put your ideas and your thoughts out there and just get started. And you ask fun questions as you move around the board. You say you have to create a pitch. You have to create a jingle. You got to sing the jingle. You have to do little different things if you get that card. So you have to do things to help you become motivated. Because one of the things I didn't talk about is this. That secret word that we never want to talk about called procrastination. That's why so many of us like me are trying to get on the treadmill. That I got a treadmill and a bike upstairs, and I'm trying to make myself get my butt up there and get on. So procrastination is very real for all of us, and it's challenging. And that's why we do things like get a coach. That's why we do things like get help, to help us to move forward in our journey, because truthfully, it can be done. It can happen. You can write a book too. If you got a book you want to write, come on, y'all. Call me up. I am easy to reach. I am very easy to connect with you. Go to my website, yolandavo.com. Yolanda, V-O, as in voiceover, because it's the voiceover lady.com. Click on my book, and then you can just contact me right there. We can set up whatever we need to do for you. I do have processes and packages that we can do. I don't do a bazillion of them. Why? Because I'm doing voiceovers. But I do have slots and times, and I am very much so reachable. I have people who reach out to me and they ask me questions. They just ask me for tips, or they may do something and they may say, hey, I just need an idea about this. I'm okay. I am that lady. I don't mind you touching me. You know why? Because I wish somebody else would have done it for me. And if I can be there and I can help you, and I can be the person who maybe plants the seed, another man will water, and God is going to give that increase. And I am so looking forward to helping you on your joy journey, wherever that may take you, wherever that may be, and however I can be of service to you.
Yolanda, thank you so much for sharing all those gems and that information. I'm very sure that what you have shared is going to help the next entrepreneur, the person thinking about being an entrepreneur, the person thinking about writing a book, the person thinking about being a voiceover actor, all of that. So I thank you so much for sharing that. You are amazing. This interview has been awesome. I would like for you to share with our viewers, how can we find and follow you on social media, and how can we connect with you if someone was interested in working with you?
So that's a really good question. On Instagram, on everything, I am at Yolanda Spearman. So if you just look up Yolanda Spearman, you can't go wrong. If you even spell it wrong, it's going to probably come up too. But Yolanda Spearman, Yolanda, Yolanda, Spearman, Spearman. Anywhere you look that up, I am on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. If you connect to me on LinkedIn, I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn. That's fine. I will respond to you personally. I do have a person who helps me. So I do have a voiceover manager. And so if you happen to reach out to me because you need me to do a voiceover, my voiceover manager will respond to you. But I will also see your note. Just tell me that you found me on Boss Up Magazine. She'll make sure I get to you personally. I always respond to people. And if you go to my book, you can go to willyouberelentless.com. So will you be relentless? If you are willing to be relentless, willberelentless.com leads you right to my page so that's easy for you to find me. I try to do things that are easy to remember. So willyoubrelentless.com. If you go there, you'll connect directly to my page. Go to my book, Relentless Execution, and you can connect directly to me. It has a little form at the bottom that says, hey, you want to connect to Yolanda? And you can just connect right to me there as well. And I respond to every single email. Oh, I'm also on Clubhouse on Mondays. I forgot to say that. On Mondays at 9:00 p.m. every Monday, I am with Pam Perry in her branding room and in her PR and branding room. And I am always in that room on Monday nights. And I'm always sharing with one of my partners, Letitia Nicole. We are always in there sharing some gems and some pearls of wisdom. So you can always meet me there and you can catch up with me on the back chat. On the back channel, I will actually respond to you there as well. So I am out there. I am happy to meet you, Yolanda VO. So you can email me even at Yolanda at what? YolandaVO.com. And you can actually reach me directly. So feel free to connect with me. I have tips. If you just want some tips, you just want some ideas, connect with me. Say, hey, Yolanda, I want those free tips. I'll send you a little PDF file that I have for you with just some free tips and some things to get you in VO. If you're like, hey, I need help on that joy journey, I don't know exactly what to do. I always do things in threes. I would suggest we do 3 sessions where we actually get to mind map together. Then once we mind map, we want to talk about how we're going to actually create a plan to work it out. And then after that, hey, I'm all about relentless execution, right? So I'm going to give you some steps. We're going to relentlessly execute. And then from there, let's keep in touch with you via email. I'm never far away. I work with a lot of clients. I work with a lot of businesses. I've helped a lot of businesses make a whole bunch of millions of dollars. I feel like it's my turn. It's your turn too, right? It's your turn. So we need to make our millions too. So you know how Oprah said, I got a car for you and a car for you and a car for you. Well, guess what? You already got a talent. So I got a joy journey for you and a joy journey for you and a joy journey for you. All of us have a joy journey. And I want to help every last one of us succeed in that. Thank you so much for asking me all those fabulous questions. It has been a pleasure to interview with you.
Well, thank you so much. It's definitely been a pleasure to interview you and to learn more about your career and learn more about you and learn more about your book. So thank you so much for taking the time to interview with me and Boss Up Magazine today.
Thank you. We appreciate all you do.
Thank you so much. Okay, viewers, that wraps up today's interview with Boss Up Magazine. Until next time, boss up and be blessed.